TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom ve'erev tov, good evening. Welcome to our daily TV7 Israel News Bulletin, broadcast from Jerusalem. The United States and Israeli militaries are significantly destabilizing the Ayatollah regime in Iran, which in turn is lashing out towards civilian targets across the region. U.S. President Donald Trump asserts the Ayatollah regime is at the end of its lifeline. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz urges the United States and Israel to develop a viable exit strategy for the war. The Lebanese-Iranian proxy Hezbollah has launched more than 100 rockets and dozens of drones at Israel overnight, mostly targeting the north of the country, while the Islamic Republic of Iran in tandem managed to simultaneously launch only a few ballistic missiles at Israel. Consequently, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz announced a decision to expand the operation against the terror proxy in Lebanon, all the while warning the Lebanese government, which had failed to fulfill its commitments vis-à-vis disarming Hezbollah.
Yesterday, Hezbollah launched heavy barrages of fire at the state of Israel. The IDF responded forcefully in Dahiyah and against Hezbollah targets throughout Lebanon. I warned the Lebanese president that if the Lebanese government does not know how to control the territory and prevent Hezbollah from threatening the northern communities and firing at Israel, we will take the territory and do it ourselves. The Prime Minister and I instructed the IDF to prepare to expand IDF activity in Lebanon and restore peace and security to the northern communities. We promised peace and security to the northern communities, and that is exactly what we will do.
IDF spokesman Brigadier General Efi Defrin highlighted that efforts by both Hezbollah and Iran to intensify their missile and rocket fire towards large areas of Israel was a clear indication that both the terror regime in Iran and its terror proxy in Lebanon are under immense pressure.
Over the past 24 hours, and more intensely in recent hours, the firing on Israel from Iran and Hezbollah in Lebanon has continued. Attempts to expand the missile and rocket fire to large areas of the country is a direct response to the widespread and deep damage and the pressure we are exerting on them, and this pressure is increasing day by day. We are attacking Hezbollah and Iran continually, and it is important to emphasize, adhere to the instructions of the Home Front Command alone. The IDF is prepared for strong defense and will do whatever it takes to protect the citizens of the State of Israel. I say from here to all of our enemies, whoever tries to harm us will pay a heavy price.
It is important to highlight that out of roughly 100 rockets that were fired by Hezbollah, Israel's surface-to-air capabilities intercepted successfully 98 projectiles, while in tandem, all of Hezbollah's suicide drones were intercepted, as well as the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps ballistic missiles. Moreover, thankfully, no injuries were reported. Meanwhile, in light of the intense fighting that took place, which entailed repeated rocket alert sirens sounding across Israel, General Defrin underlined the importance for Israeli citizens to heed the IDF Home Front Command's instructions.
We are aware of the great difficulty involved in frequent entry into protected areas and prolonged stay there. This is a very challenging reality, especially for families with children and elderly. We are harming a murderous terrorist regime, removing threats and capabilities that have been built up over decades. Removing such a threat may take a long time.
General Defrin continued by revealing that just yesterday, the IDF conducted 60 sorties against terror targets across Iran.
In Iran, Air Force aircraft conducted 60 sorties throughout the day and hit dozens of the regime's terrorist targets. We attacked military command and control installations, and ballistic missile storage and production sites. This week we attacked the Taliban installation, which was used by the regime to advance its nuclear weapons program. This is a site where the regime developed explosives for nuclear weapons and conducted experiments. We attacked this site once before in 2024, and since then we have identified that the regime has tried to rehabilitate it, so we have attacked it once again. We are deepening the damage to the regime's ability to advance towards obtaining nuclear weapons.
Amid growing global campaigns of disinformation, which include deliberate efforts by Iran and its patrons to cast doubt on the success of the joint Israeli-American campaign, General Defrin briefly expanded on the extent of success of the war.
We are operating according to a regular plan, and we are deepening every day, so that it doesn't just sound like deepening. I'll explain. We are hitting surface-to-surface missiles. We have already said that we have struck more than 60% of Iran's surface-to-surface missile stockpile and launchers. We are hitting their launchers, missiles, air defense systems. Over 80% of the air defense systems have already been hit. We are hitting the regime extensively. On Saturday, almost 2 weeks ago, we surprised Iran with an attack. We eliminated the leader. We eliminated all of the heads of the ministerial. It is equivalent to eliminating all of the heads of the Shin Bet and Mossad, all the heads of the departments together disappearing in an instant. There was another meeting almost simultaneously that we struck, eliminating most of the security chiefs, Chief of Staff Mousavi, and much more. And we continue targeting all of these elements. The regime is already destabilized, and we will continue to strike at it. For us, this is an existential threat, not merely a slogan, and we will persist.
Meanwhile, U.S. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Bradford Cooper, in his briefing, highlighted great progress in persecuting the war against the Ayatollah regime in Iran.
U.S. forces continue delivering devastating combat power against the Iranian regime. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. U.S. combat power is building, Iranian combat power is declining. And we remain centered on very clear military objectives in eliminating Iran's ability to project power against Americans and against its neighbors. Every day, we're striking hard at Iranian ballistic missile and drones. To date, we have struck more than 5,500 targets inside Iran, including more than 60 ships, using a variety of precision weapon systems. Just yesterday, we had strike waves nearly every hour from different locations and directions going into Iran. We also took out the last of 4 Soleimani-class warships. That's an entire class of Iranian ships now out of the fight. I'd characterize our strikes as being unpredictable, dynamic, and decisive. Since the first 24 hours of this campaign, Iranian ballistic missile and drone attacks have dropped drastically. But it's worth pointing out that Iranian forces continue to deliberately target innocent civilians in Gulf countries while hiding behind their own people as they launch attacks from highly populated cities in Iran. Of course, forces executing Operation Epic Fury aren't just defending against Iranian threats. We are methodically dismantling them by hitting Iranian missiles and drones, as we also strike their defense industrial base. Just last night, our bomber force hit a large ballistic missile manufacturing facility, as an example. So it's not just about what's shooting at us today, it's also about eliminating the threat in the future. From the air, we've achieved a concentration of air power with back-to-back waves of advanced fighters creating constant pressure on the enemy every single day. Our dominance is not a solo effort, it's a testament to the strength of our ironclad alliances. We continue to coordinate closely and effectively with Israel in this very large operation, and we are also coordinating and serving side by side with all of our partners in the Middle East.
Meanwhile, overnight, President Donald Trump noted that leaders of many countries have voiced their support for the war against Iran, which is going very well according to him, and that the Ayatollah regime is effectively at the end of the line.
The war itself is being prosecuted as well as anybody has ever seen, and this is other countries telling me too. Big countries, powerful countries, they said they've never seen anything like it. And they also agree with what I'm doing. They say it's an evil country, and it's been for 47 years that way. They are pretty much at the end of the line. Doesn't mean we're going to end it immediately, but they've got no Navy, they've got no Air Force, they've got no anti-air traffic, anything. They have no systems of control. We're just riding free range over that country. And now we're going to look very strongly at the Straits. The Straits are in great shape. We've knocked out all of their boats. They have some missiles, but not very many. I think we're in very good shape. The main thing is we have to win this thing, win it quickly, but win it. And there are many people, I'm just watching some of the news. Most people say it's already been won. It's just a question of when. When do we stop? We don't want to let it regrow. And ideally would like to see somebody in there that knows what they're doing. In other words, they can build a country. Now, one other thing, we can hit sections of Tehran and other places that, if you do it, it'll be almost impossible for them to rebuild their country. And we don't want that. But we can hit electric, we could take apart their electric capacity within 1 hour, and it would take them 25 years to rebuild it. So ideally, we're not going to be doing that.
It is worth noting that while many European and Western-aligned countries have voiced their unwavering support for the United States and Israel in prosecuting the war against the Islamic Republic of Iran, in a recent statement by Chancellor Friedrich Merz earlier this week, the German leader voiced concern over a perceived lack of a viable exit strategy for the war.
Die Vereinigten Staaten und Israel führen seit über einer Woche ein.
The United States and Israel have been waging war against Iran for over a week.
Teilen wir
We share many of these goals, but with each day of the war, more questions arise.
besorgt uns, dass es
We are particularly concerned that there is apparently no common plan for how to bring this war to a swift and convincing conclusion.
gebracht werden kann. Der
Meanwhile, we are witnessing a dangerous escalation. Iran is indiscriminately attacking countries in the region, including close partners and allies of ours.
Verbündete unseres Landes.
We condemn this in the strongest possible terms.
Deutschland und Europa.
Germany and Europe, we have no interest in a war without end.
Wir haben kein
We have no interest in the dissolution of Iran's territorial integrity, statehood, or economic viability.
Lebensfähigkeit.
A scenario such as we have seen in Libya, Iraq, or other countries in the region would also harm us all. This affects our security, our energy supply, and potentially also the situation surrounding migration.
Möglicherweise auch das Geschehen rund die Migration.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News, which is made possible by the generosity of our viewers. Therefore, if you're blessed by the content of TV7 Israel Productions, which is exclusively donation-based, please consider donating. You can support via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, keep praying for Israeli and American service members confronting the Ayatollah regime in Iran, alongside prayers for the peace of Jerusalem and redemption of Israel. I'm Jonathan Essen wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.